People that don't like problem solving probably wouldn't enjoy sugaring very much. So I'm Mark Raishart. We are in Leicester, Vermont. This is Foxglove Farm here in Leicester, about halfway between Brandon and Middlebury. We've got 500 taps, 400 are on tubing that come right down to the sugar house, and then we still do 100 buckets so we can keep the kids busy in the afternoons. We're wood fired. We've got steam away to maximize efficiency, and we use a liter micro 2 to cut our boiling time in half. So this 2x6 can boil around 60 gallons an hour, and we make around 15 gallons of syrup a day. And we burn around, I don't know, probably 5 cords of wood a year.
So we have one Airbnb just next door to the sugar house, and this time of the year in particular, guests can stay there and then come up here and see what this is all about. We welcome them to. We've had guests help us collect and take pictures and take samples and eat donuts.
And then they can buy the product on their way out.
Yes.
I think a lot of people that have never seen it before, their eyes pop wide open when they walk into this room and see what's going on, because some people have no idea what is involved in making this product, and they have no idea how much work it is. So the Vermont Audubon Society has a bird-friendly forest management program for sugar makers, and our forest management and our sugaring operation adheres to those guidelines, in addition to being part of the Vermont Woodlands Association and the American Tree Farm System. So we manage our forest for timber production, but also for wildlife habitat and for recreation and for water quality. Everything that we do kind of keeps that in mind. We still harvest timber and we still harvest firewood, but we also try to maintain things in a way that really benefits the wildlife that lives here and the people that come and visit and the water that leaves the property. So all of that stuff comes into our lens when we cut a tree or make a decision about what we're going to do on the property. I really love the steam away. This is a used steam away that I got a few years ago, but I always knew that I wanted one. I love the whole concept of it. I love the fact that you're using what otherwise would be a waste product to preheat and pre-condense. It brings it up to just about boiling, and for us it just about doubled our evaporation rate on this evaporator. And we're just far enough away from the house that we don't have running water up here, so we need to kind of bring up the water that we're going to use. But once the evaporator is running, we have an endless supply of hot water running off. So we're constantly washing stuff and constantly able to keep things clean. We can rinse our other filters, we can rinse the filter press, rinse our buckets, and we keep hot water stashed for cleanup at the end of the night, and that's a blessing. Most sugar makers probably really enjoy the sort of plugging things together. It's almost like playing with Legos. You get all these different pieces and you have to figure out how to build your own system the way you want it. It's a problem-solving game, but also like can I beat my own record kind of thing? How can I do this better or differently? This evaporator keeps up with that micro 2 really well. So if we got much more sap, I think we'd be going to bed too late. And this works well for the amount of sap we're getting each day. Usually around 600 gallons a day on that number of taps, sometimes a little more. And if we put in a little bit more taps, we'd need a little bit more storage, and then we'd need more room for the concentrated sap, and we'd be feeding the beasts. And we want to keep it manageable so that we don't get overwhelmed.
So it stays fun.
Yeah, and so it stays fun. I really liked the liter equipment, and I liked the efficiency of the steam away and the way things flow through here. And I like that it's made in Vermont and made in the United States, kind of the way things always had been with that company. So I like using them whenever possible. We get as much liter equipment as we can. Well, what I love about maple sugaring is that it's a tradition that's been going on in Vermont for hundreds of years, and in some ways, a lot of the way we do it is the way it's always been done. I mean, there are certain things that you can't mechanize. You can't mechanize walking around the woods, and you can't mechanize tapping, and you still have to turn sap into syrup with heat. That's something that's always been part of the process. And I think it's neat to carry on that tradition. I think it's neat to pass it along to our kids and have them be a part of it and understand how the process works and the amount of work that goes into it and what the business side looks like and what the outcome is. And they're never going to forget when they get older what it tastes like to come in here and get a sample of fresh maple syrup. That's something that I remember from when I was a kid, and I think that's something that's going to go with them forever.
I grew up visiting my grandfather and my uncles in their sugar house near Montpelier. My great-grandmother would make donuts, and it was just like a nice, joyful family situation. And then I took a long pause from that when I went to college, but I was excited when we started back up here that, like Mark said, someday our kids will have a similar memory. And I really like that we can offer it to the guests who stay in our cabin similarly, because they don't know the process. So it's so important to think about like where our food comes from, and if we can have that memory for our kids or even for an adult that's visiting, I think that's really important.